Y'all, oh, this episode was so good and so heartbreaking at the same time, y'all. Let's get into it. Hi my loves, Milay, the girl from around the way. We have culture, conversation, and community, and in today's video I'm coming to you all with a Starz Network P-Valley season 2 episode 5 review. The name of this episode is called White Nights. Heavy on the S at the end, plural. Okay, so first things first, I noticed that the first scene is a recap, and when I saw them not really necessarily have like an opening scene but just the recap, I already knew. I was like, girl, this is finna be good. And you know, we got the down in the valley where the girls get naked. Okay, I just love that song. So the opening scene, we have Uncle Clifford narrating them opening up in Atlanta, and it's giving me very much like, you know, fantasy, your ghetto fantasy, hood fairy tale. It has this fairy tale theme with undertones of satire. It's giving me like satirical feels. It's just so good. You could just hear it in the voice. Uncle Clifford is coming in like, girl, now we down in the dirty A, and then it comes on with the Atlanta, I'm on it, I'm on it, I'm on it, you know what I mean? Like just straight up there in the club. That whole concept is just genius. Like hood fantasy, that's just genius, period. The first thing we have is Rome and Key, and Rome is on his Bluetooth, girl, and he is trying to leverage a deal for a lace front collection for Mississippi, and she's, you know, doing her makeup, and she's like, girl, it's on, we got this little lace front thing, they got you some wigs over here that you can choose from. And you know, she was like, we got blue, we got red, and they had a blonde wig, and Mississippi is like, girl, that's ghetto. And then Rome suggests the blonde wig, and she's like, I don't think that's gonna go good with my skin complexion. And he was just like, girl, she puts the wig, goes like, girl, chocolate goes with everything. And I think that whole wig, that idea of, y'all know what the blonde wig gives. I don't even gotta get into it. Y'all know what it gives. Rome lets her know that I already got 2 weeks added on to the tour. And she's like, wait a minute, Rome, that's not what I agreed to. And he's like, I gotta get home. He was like, oh, I already discussed it with your little Justin Bieber. You good, Ma? We gotta get to this money. And he kind of says it in a really assertive way. She kind of looks off like, okay, I guess I'm going with it. And she, you know, checks herself out with the blonde wig, and it's like, this is what it's giving now. And the next scene, we have Little Murder and your boy Teak, and they're bickering back and forth. You're like, yeah, Rome, you could have got me hooked up and perform in this place or whatever. And then Teak doesn't agree. They're just bickering back and forth, girl. Lovers quarrel. Then in comes Jocelyn. Okay, do it like it's your B-Day, baby. Do it like it's your B-Day. She comes out. The Puerto Rican princess looks good. She looks good like she always do. And I'm so proud of Jocelyn for, you know, landing this role or whatever, although she's playing herself. But a part of me is really proud of Jocelyn. We've been with her since the beginning, since she was wearing the mommy wigs and the cornrows that had uneven parts and everything like this. So I feel happy for her. A part of me does, although I know she doing girls dirty. So it's just kind of like a bittersweet moment. You know, she's getting her flowers, and that's what they hope we're saying. Like, we're gonna give the girls their flowers. They shout out Gigi McGuire, Jessica Dime, and Tip or whatever, and they had their cameo and they had their appearance or whatever. Jessica Diamond's like, yes, you know what I mean? Gigi McGuire did a little one of these, period. And Tip was just, you know, they were just all, you know, celebrating the whole culture around the strippers and giving them their flowers, because they were and are a vital part of the hip-hop that we love. They are a part of the trends that we love. It's just that, like, you know, it's just that. That's it. Jocelyn says, well, while we giving the old heads the flowers, it's some new pussy going around here who needs to get their flowers, and there's a whole bunch of smoke. And comes Keyshawn, and girl, I don't know if it was Keyshawn or the body double, but just kills it. The performance is banging. Jessica Dime, that's what she said, her yes, or whatever the case. And I love it. You know, they said Jocelyn was the most famous stripper to ever do it. Is she? Is Jocelyn? She's probably the most famous. She probably really truly is, because I can't think of any other stripper who's as big as Jocelyn. Wow. Damn, Jocelyn. Go ahead. Name a stripper that's bigger than Jocelyn. Drop down in the comments. she's doing it. She said, bitch, I'm gonna be a star regardless. I ain't going back to the strip club, Stevie. And she meant it. Uncle Clifford takes us to a time where Keyshawn was like the beginning story of Keyshawn, and like giving us a little bit more insight. This whole episode was dedicated to Mississippi basically, and like her origin story. I love a good origin story too, by the way. And we start off at cheer practice, and Derek is spotting her. He's holding her, whatever the case. She doesn't land her move that she was doing. Her stepsister comes over, lands it perfectly, Alicia, and you know, you can tell that Mississippi, Keyshawn was just kind of like the ugly duckling. The stepsister was light skinned, she was brown skinned, or chocolate, that's how they describe it, and she was a chocolate girl. Gidget is the cheer coach, okay, and Gidget is still spunky, you know, she is just, you know, they were in high school. That's cute to know that they met in high school. Keyshawn is sitting on the bench, getting some ice after she fell, girl. There's some black boys who's coming over to Keyshawn talking about something. Oh, girl, I don't even know why you tried, you threw. I don't know why you sitting out in the sun. You already burnt as a chicken wing, burnt as a chicken nugget to begin with, which is so real, girl. Like, I just feel like in the South, that whole colorism, the color hierarchy is so big in the South. It's big all over. It's big all over, but specifically, I just, you know, having spent some time, you know, real time in the South, girl, that shit is so real. It's very prominent. And the black boys don't really check for like dark-skinned girls. It's just not a thing, especially dark-skinned black men. Even today, you probably notice that if a guy is really truly like dark-skinned, I'm talking about the deep, rich, dark, they either want a light-skinned girl or a white girl. And y'all not gonna tell me that's not selfish, because they don't want to have a daughter who's possibly gonna be as dark as them. You get what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to have a son who's going to be possibly as dark as them. So they go for whatever is light. And the darker skinned girls go for, even in the South, go for a yellow, light, bright type of guy. I've witnessed it, period. And I don't even got to, you know, we ain't even got to do that, because we know how we give it up over here. Y'all know I ain't lying. So it's no surprise that the black boys were trying to play Keyshawn. Oh, get your dark ass out the sun. You get what I mean? That's very real. And Derek comes over and he's just like, you know, he said, why don't y'all show her some respect, leave her alone. He's like, what you gonna do, white boy? Turn all red, girl. A fight breaks out and Derek is whooping ass. Derek is whooping some ass, and them black boys, you know, he was handing it to him. And for once, you know, you root for a white guy, you know. The next thing, we have Keyshawn at home with her stepsisters, and basically she's playing kitchen beautician. Can I talk today? She's playing kitchen beautician, y'all. And she's doing her daughter's hair. They have a pageant coming up. James, her father, is supposed to be flying in, and she wants to make sure that her daughter's hair is good. Keyshawn somehow burns the girl's hair off because she was in a daze. When she burns her hair off, the mom goes into a fit. Oh my gosh, you ruined my baby's strength. This is her beauty. This is her real hair. You'll never have hair like my daughter. And just berating and belittling her, because her daughter's hair is real and it's long. You know, we put so much emphasis on those European beauty standards, girl. You got long straight hair, it's real. You're up here versus if you have short curlier hair. We know, we've seen this 1,000 million times, trillion times on TV and in real life. High school is bitches in the next in there in the lunchroom, or lunch eating outside, and Alicia comes in, and Alicia is that bia, you know what I mean? And she's trying to talk to dude, when the dude's trying to talk to her, she's not interested. And she is the chosen light-skinned hoochie mama slash, you know, bougie mama, you know what I mean? And all of the guys want her. They have this discussion, Gidget, Alicia, the other stepsister, and Keyshawn, about a mistletoe dance, which I guess is like a Christmas party dance that they have. And they have Cracker Toe and Igatoe, and they're asking who wants to go to which dance, because ever since a lot of black people started moving to Chucalissa, they are not wanting, the parents are not wanting to have the dances together, which is something that's really true. I think like in 2012 or 2007 was like the last segregated prom in Mississippi, which was a very, very real thing. And it probably is still real in certain places throughout the country today. It's a very real thing that still happens. You can, you know, probably YouTube some, you know, specials on Vice or, you know, CNN or whatever the case may be. And I like that they highlighted that, because most people like, you know, most regular Douglas wouldn't even really think that segregation still happens if a girl does. publicly. And the next thing we have Keyshawn walking home from school, and it starts to rain. She's trying to cover her hair up, and girl, guess who pulls up? Mr. White Knight himself, Derek. And Derek, he's like, you know, you want to ride? And she's just like, you know, how many black girls you offer to give a ride to in the rain? You know, we can't resist that before I got my hair messed up. So they go to a date, which is like a little diner or whatever the case may be. It's full of black people. And past the Woodbine is the is the server, and she like, that's all you're gonna get is some fries, girl. You better, he paying for it, you better be paying for it. It's the date, right? She was like, oh, I don't know if it's truly a date or not. And they start having this discussion of, where would you take me if I was on a date? And she's like, oh, I would go. He was like, I would take you on a steamboat for dinner. I would do this, I would do that. Keyshawn looks around and sees all her folks and was like, well, would you take me home? And it was kind of like, next subject. Yeah, so I got a full ride to Ole Miss. And for, you know, for cheer, my dad thought that I was, you know, GAY, but I'm not. It's just that, you know, I got a good view from here. And they're doing some heavy real deal flirting. You can tell it's a lot of tension between the two, sexual tension. And it was a cute scene. And the next thing we have Keyshawn and her stepsisters. It's giving me very much Cinderella and her evil stepsisters. And they talk about how Alicia asked, Mama, how'd you meet James anyway? Basically, she met James on a plane. She's like, girl, I served him a drink, and it was just, you know, love at first sight. And that is really just how it started. And Keyshawn says, well, what you failed to mention was you served his wife a drink first. And they get into like the mom threw something at her. She threw something at her. It was like a food fight. And, you know, she was just like, you're a home wrecker. And she's like, oh, your mama's ghetto. You ghetto just like your mama. And I think I missed that part, the whole, I'm talking about colorism, but also with colorism, there was also elitism that comes to the, you know, comes to the forefront when we're talking about class, when we're talking about social status, when we're talking about access to money. And I think that this woman who was a stepmom, you know, gained access to money through her, Keyshawn's father. But there also comes a certain stigma when, you know, you were in a trailer park or you were backwoods or whatever the case, versus if you were affluent. Goes to her room, and it's just like, why is her father allowing such abuse to go on? Which we'll get into. Uncle Clifford is announcing this whole Jocelyn things, like, and now she's meeting her fairy godmother. And in comes Jocelyn. Keyshawn is over there handing out lashes to Gigi McGuire and Jessica Dime. She's like, make sure you tag me when you you know, put on your lashes. She's like, girl, this ain't our first rodeo. I know exactly what to do. Which I think it's just like a nod to how women now, especially in this day and age, can leverage their social media status and convert it over into businesses. And, you know, they were once a stripper, now influencer, now on to Zeus Network. You get what I'm saying? I think that was a nod to that. You know, stripping, you know, sex work. Let's just say this. Sex work back in the day was truly frowned upon, especially when, you know, there wasn't a world of social media, because there weren't opportunities. It was either you was sucking or ducking, and if you wasn't doing that, it was nothing else. Now a girl can get on a camera, post her OnlyFans, and she's doing this, maybe play with a tata, you know, do whatever, and she can also leverage, you know, she can, like, there's more social status and more social capital that comes along with sex work in that day and age of the digital marketing and social media. Period. Anyways, y'all, Jocelyn comes over and she's like, let the party begin. And Jocelyn really did a good job. I mean, she's playing herself. It's not like it's hard to play the character that she's, you know, doing. But, you know, she did a really good job. And she's just like, you know, I recognize you. I see you got a hunger in your belly, girl. And she's like, girl, do I, you know, I'm growling or whatever the case is. She's just like, no, listen, I can recognize and see who you are. And that's a lot of times. Most women, most people just want to be seen. But let me tell you something. To them, you're going to always be a hoe, you know. But like our sister Cardi B said, hoes never get cold. And, you know, you'll always be warm or whatever the case. She was like, oh, you want me to come dance for you later? She was like, no, I just feel like, you know, a bad bee always got to have a bad bee to talk to. And I agree. And I'm not saying necessarily bad bee, but even if that's how you identify, like-minded women need to be in communication with one another. You get what I'm saying? Like, reach out to your friend, reach out to your sister friend, reach out to your cousins, girl. We need each other more than you think. You need to be in communication and communion with women who are like-minded, period. So now we're back at home, and the girls, the stepsisters, the evil stepsisters, child, they are getting their pictures taken. They got their dates. They're obviously going to Blacktoe, and the daddy is there, girl. The dad is all excited. He's like, baby, can you take pictures of us? And I'm like, imagine, you know, you the daughter and you got to take pictures of your father with two daughters who are not his. But even the daddy is kind of like, you know, using the daughter's privileges. Even the father is amused and wanting that upward mobility by having access to these beautiful girls and the women and things of that nature. Because why was he so hype? I feel like that shit is unspoken about too, girl. The man will up and leave his whole family because he feel like, oh, this is a better look. And don't think for 2 seconds that men and women don't do that and don't use people because of their social capital, because that's a very real thing. So Keyshawn is taking the pictures. Was she a better woman than me? Because I wish I would. She's taking the picture, and we see that the father is like really kind of too close for comfort with Alicia, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that the daddy is probably tapping and hitting that, touching that, looking at, frolicking, you know, his stepdaughter. You know what I'm saying? Which is unbelievable. And then out of nowhere, I mean, not unbelievable, bitch, it's very believable. Y'all get what I'm saying? Out of nowhere, Derek shows up and he has a shirt. He's dressed in the nines, girl. He looked, dare I say, he looked good, because y'all know who I am over here. I love us for real. But you know, he looked like how he was looking. And you know, he has all of the things that Keyshawn needs. She goes upstairs, she hit a couple sit-ups, she's trying to get into this dress. She comes down, she looks amazing. And he takes her to the ball, white ball, you feel me? And it was just amazing. You can see the look on his face. He was so, you know, enamored with her. And the soundtrack, they play I'm in love with the Coco. Hey, I get it for the Lola. I'm like, yo, this shit right here is so good. This is so good, y'all, for so many different reasons. Bitch, what? So they have the back and forth, you know, the back and forth of the mistletoe dance for the black people, the mistletoe dance with the white people, and just a good juxtaposition of the black people got chicken and fries, you know, the white people are eating lobster, the white people are doing like ballroom dancing, the other girls at the black mistletoe are like, you know, twerking or whatever the case may be. And you know, regardless of Keyshawn being the only one black person there, it looked like they were having it and she was enjoying themselves. There was a piece of mistletoe that they were about to kiss under, and it was her mom or his mom looking at her like, y'all better not kiss on this plantation, period. And they go outside. Keyshawn is you know, dancing, and she's like, oh my god, it's snowing, I can't believe it's snowing in Mississippi. And she's putting her tongue out and she's, you know, eating the snow. And Derek was like, Keyshawn, come on, I gotta get you home. I gotta get you home. Your daddy's gonna have a fit. And he's just like, no, how often does it snow in Mississippi? I'm gonna enjoy this. And he's just from afar admiring her. She just said, like, you know, that lady was gonna have a hissy fit if we decided to kiss. She was like, that lady is my mother. And you know, she's all bark and no bite. But my father, on the other hand, he has a bite that'll make you beg for the bark. And Keyshawn says, well, your father, you weren't getting those you know, bruises from falling. He said, no, it was my father. So we see that Derek comes from an abusive home. What I think is interesting to find out is that Derek isn't trailer park white trash. You get what I'm saying? He's a well-to-do, affluent white guy. And you know, I'm assuming coming from money. Any person that comes from money down in the South, I assume that they are, you know, direct descendants of slave owners, which a lot of people in America are, but period. I mean, you know, white people. Uncle Clifford is beautifully, you know, saying these lines, you know, telling us this fairy tale story. And she was just like, you know, they were in the car having sex, and he's just like, this is my first, I don't know if he was going to say my first time, or was he going to say my first time with a black girl? You get what I'm saying? Because if you date interracially, you know that there's a difference between like, oh, this is my first time, or this is my first time I'm with a black girl. You get what I'm saying? Like, or a black woman or a black man. And you know, Uncle Clifford is just like, you know, it was just a beautiful moment of, you know, lust, the silver lining of lust, and we thought it was love. Clifford was saying his lines like this little chocolate girl wasn't deserving of everything that Derek was willing to give her, obviously. And Derek himself was taught to believe that this little chocolate girl wasn't deserving of him. But the heart wants what it wants, and the body also wants what it wants, and those opposites attracted in that way, and they connected, girl. And they connected, and y'all know what I mean. Mom returns home with a huge smile on her face and she's all giddy and excited. Mom is downstairs and she's drunk. The mom is drunk and she says, you know, she was like, oh, you came home early or whatever the case. She was like, it's okay because your sister still ain't make it back yet, so I won't bother telling your daddy. And she was just like, oh, good, thank you. And she, you know, she was crying, she looked hurt, and I'm pretty sure, I think it had something to do with the fact, or at least it felt like that the mom knew that her dad, that James wasn't, and James was probably touching on her daughter, but she got to live in the palace that she already decided she was going to do, and she's going to do that. And the mom is giving me very much that. Keyshawn goes upstairs, and that was the end of the scene. Beautifully done. I forgot to mention that the mom tells or warns Keyshawn about, be careful of a man who wants to keep you as his Barbie doll. You get what I'm saying? Because obviously I think that she is kind of dealing with the same thing in her life with her own father. And she said, everything you look like that you had on was custom. And she was just like, I know it was. And that's when she gave her that warning. Good scene, you know, that, you know. And even going back a little bit, Derek had asked her, how did those 7.5s fit? And it was fitting perfectly, thank you. And it was just really good altogether. The mom knows that her father is, you know, her husband is touching on her daughter or wants her daughter or whatever, or maybe he's cheating, I don't know. But the mom puts on this facade like, oh, we're this and we're that, but for real, you know what's up. So in the next scene we have Keyshawn, and she is, you know, dancing and playing All in Her Money Girl that she just got from her Mississippi night. And the guys are there, they are chilling. Big Teak is obviously upset, and Lil Murda is trying to, you know, remain cool. And Keyshawn says, Big T, why don't you go over there and get you one of them strawberries? I know you want one. Big T says, nah, Keyshawn, I'm good, I don't want that. And Lil Murda says, why you tripping, bro? I know you want one. He said, nigga, I don't want one, I already told you. You act like you can't hear me. Damn, gets up, storms off. So when he storms off, Keyshawn looks like, okay, and gives the look to Wody, and Wody's like, so what happened was they gave each other a look, but on the screen it just says, are they effing? And Wody does look like, yeah, I think so. And when I tell you, bitch, I screamed. That is so good, because let me tell y'all something. Black people, and we know, we can have a whole conversation with our eyes, baby. I can look at my girl and be like, I can look at my man and be like, he know what's up. That's that black people essence. That's that black people telepathy. Is that how you say it? Telepathy. I feel like Jocelyn with the choreography. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Cause like when you know, you know. He gave her that look. Like them words in the pink, the words that popped up on the screen, that was for people that look like this and not this, because we knew what it was. Oh, this show was for the culture. Oh, Lil Murda goes over to Big Teak and was like, let me just try to calm him down. So Wody says, you might want to try to get him a B. And when he says that, Lil Murda looked at him and gave him that look, and he was like, or not. And he was kind of saying like, get him a B. Are you crazy? Like, it wasn't like, why would you say that? It was more like, now why would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, you know. Goes up with the keys and tells Teak that he ain't got no room or something along those lines. Teak catches an attitude, storms off, says, I don't need your charity, I'll stay in hers. Rome says, Keyshawn, when you finish playing with these clowns, come up and see me, baby, because we need to get it together. And she was like, you got this money together? Or that's what Rome was asking her. And I'm like, I hope she's not giving him no money, baby. Wody storms off and was just like, not storm off, but he just tells Keyshawn like, I don't like your hair. And he was like, what you mean? Uncle Clifford was narrating like, When he said that, he just said, you know, I like the way your hair grows out your scalp, natural. You get what I'm saying? And I told y'all what that blonde wig symbolizes, especially when black women wear blonde wigs. And I think Wody's emerging as you know what I mean, like somebody to watch. So we have Keyshawn and Derek in the next scene. Keyshawn is complaining about some burping cloths, and they get into a fight basically over money. And he just says, you know, well, you sound selfish, but my parents didn't have to do anything. And he was just like, and Keyshawn was like, well, your daddy or your mama could have helped us out with the down payment for the duplex, and they didn't. My daddy gave us the money. And she was just like, I'm taking care of us, working at Walgreens, 8 months pregnant, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And which I find to be funny, because he said something about, I should have never put my you know, DICK and the likes of women like you. So him saying that racial stuff, he's been saying it for a while now, because she's all laying on the couch all big and pregnant. And you know, you a backwoods B and this, that, and the third. I'm taking care of us. And it's so funny because Keyshawn is still taking care of them to this day. And he chokes her. He chokes her out. And I'm like, that must have been the first time that he actually hit her. I think that there is a lot of resentment and a lot of things that happen in interracial relationships that people don't necessarily talk about, especially when the parents don't approve. On both sides, there's going to be usually it's the other side than black people. But there's a lot of resentment that can happen because if a family member cuts you off, or you're cut off from the lifestyle, and then you end up struggling. Now you with this person who culturally you have no real common ground to. I'm sure anybody would come up or feel some sort of bitterness and resentment. The next thing we have Rome and Keyshawn. Rome is chilling on the balcony. He's like, yeah, man, this, you know, this protesting is going crazy, man. They still going at it. And that time was a really crazy time. Again, I still want to highlight that by just acknowledging it. And Keyshawn shows up. When Keyshawn shows up, she hands him money. I'm like, girl, this is the whole pimp. This is the whole PI, girl. We already knew it. I feel like the viewers knew. We wasn't sure, but we kind of knew. And she said, why you ain't dressed yet? I already knew. I was just like, oh gosh, here we go. It's, yeah, well, the wig deal didn't fall through, you know, the way we wanted it to, but I got you some stripper heels. She was like, oh, stripper heels, you know, yeah, that's not really what I want to do. He was like, well, can you just put them on for me and see if they work out for you? And then she puts them on, he puts her on her feet, much like, you know, Jarae gave her the 7.5 shoe. Girl, the Cinderella theme is woven all throughout here, these glass slippers. Give her the shoe. And, you know, she tries it on. He's like, yeah, wait till I see you in the floss. You know, it's going to be dope. So she goes into the bathroom. She tries it on. She looks it on. She's looking at it. Girl, Rome comes. And by the way, she looks beautiful. She looks stunning. Keyshawn, she's the one for me. She does it for me. But he comes into the bathroom when she's trying on her floss and her new shoes that he's apparently dangling some little, you know, deal over. And he's like, he comes into the bathroom with his robe open. He comes into the bathroom with his robe open, and I'm talking about boing, 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 okay? Boing, boing, boing. And she's like, Rome, your robe, you're like, you don't know what's going on. And, you know, I ain't even gonna get into the whole pity patter. And she was like, get dressed, or we not going to Jocelyn's, and I don't want to do this, and I just sell a fantasy. I don't really be out here doing this. And she was like, well, he's like, you can't dance for me, but you about to go downstairs and dance for them niggas. It was like, yeah, I get paid to do this. I'm not doing this. It's not my type of, you know, not my type of thing. He's like, all of this is pending. All of the deals that I'm talking about is pending. And he's just trying to pressure her. You talking about something, you want this life, girl, baby girl, you're gonna have to work for it. You get what I mean? And by work, I mean, you know, working something out. girl, y'all know what I'm saying. So when, you know, Keyshawn is still like refusing, and I just feel like, you know, this whole, he reminds her like, you know, I'm trying to save you from your situation, from your back home. You get what I mean? And in this episode, we see Derek was her white knight. Rome, she thought was her white knight. And, you know, we're gonna see that Wody might be emerging as another knight too, trying to save Keyshawn. He tries to R-word her, and she runs out of the you know, hotel room or whatever the case may be, and she was banging on the door. But before this, he says, yeah, and all that stuff that you got going on with Lil Murder can come to an end, because honestly, I got a video of him and Big T. He ain't from the streets. You know what I'm saying? He ain't from no streets. He ain't no gangster. He's an F word. Much like you ain't no princess. You a HOA. And I'm just like, oh man, the rug just slips right from her fucking, you know, underneath her feet yet again with these men in her life. So she's running down the hall, and as she's running down the hall, the jewels from her floss, girl, was falling onto the ground, and it was this really cinematic situation with slow-mo, and it was falling, and it was very similar to Cinderella. And she's leaving the ball, and her carriage is turning back into the pumpkin. Just beautifully done. She's banging on her door. Woody, open up. So Woody, she goes in and tell Woody, yeah, well, he just tried to R-word me, and he got film of little murder in Big Teak, and she says, well, what? He says, Wody, I'm going home. He's like, well, what about the tour? She says, Wody, I'm going home. Goes home, and Derek is seemingly in a good mood. He's laughing and joking and singing. Jaden is all, you know, at the bottom of the on the floor or whatever. And he's like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? He was like, oh, he just misses you. And at first I'm like, wow, Derek is actually holding it down, holding it together, girl. Derek, you know, he had a, you know, hard life, rough life. This is what the cars he was though. Girl, take Jada to the doctors. He got a dislocated elbow. Derek was in there beating up the child abusing the child. Poor 3-year-old. So she comes home from the hospital and she's trying to approach him. I'm like, girl, it's not time to approach with a conversation. He hitting your child. Where is the Beretta? Where is the pot of grits? Where is it? Girl, trying to talk to this man is almost impossible. You know he be beating you up, and that's exactly what happened. Punches her out, punches her in the face. She's all bloody. He's like, I'm going to discipline my child however I want to. And with that, I was just like, whoa. And in that moment, I'm just like so heartbroken. This felt so bad because I know that so many women just feel helpless and they don't have the family support. They don't have anybody outside of a man that's abusing them. And it's like, what do you do in that instant? He's abusing you, now he's abusing your child. You got to do something. You feel what I'm saying? You got to do something. And I don't know, just y'all check on your people, love on your people. And the next and final scene we have Wody and Rome. Wody shows up to where Rome is, and girl, he's at a whole sex party. And you know, Rome kicks some girls out like, yeah, we gotta talk business. I gotta talk business with the boss. And Wody gives Rome a little cocaine. When he gives him the, you know, the whatchamacallit, he puts it on the table, you know, and he was just like, you go first, because you know, I think Rome suspected something. Wody plays it off, you know, he takes the line, and then Rome does his bump or whatever the case. And when he does, we all know it's something going on. The audience know, but he doesn't necessarily know. He's talking to him and he's just like, yeah, what do you think about Keyshawn? He's like, oh yeah, Keyshawn come a dime a dozen, we'll figure it out. And then they're just playing small talk while I was hitting him. Then once it start hitting him, Wody starts popping that shit like, yeah, I never, you know, I got your mom together. You know, I don't know if she's going to heaven or hell, but you know, I know where you going, and you know, at least you got somebody that's going to help you transition over into the other side. He says, where the videotape at? He was like, what tape? What tape you talking about? He was like, you know what tape I'm talking about. And you know, pretty much it goes black, and he, you know, ODs, you know, he kills him. When he kills him, he shows a little, you know, fentanyl in the bottle or whatever. And Wody, you know, I don't know if he did it to protect Big Teak. I don't know if he did it because of what happened with Keyshawn, or if it was a combination of both. But again, Wody might be coming out as, you know, the sidekick turn, you know, white knight, you know, a hero. You get what I'm saying? And we're gonna have to see how it goes. But you know, next week's episode is gonna be good. Last season was only 8 episodes. This is episode 5, so I feel like stuff is about to start getting real hot. This was a hot episode. This was a good episode, girl. This was so good. Damn, this was good. Drop down in the comments, let me know what you think. I don't even really have any predictions for next week's episode. I think that Keyshawn is going to come up with a plan to actually really truly get away from Derek for real. When you talk about the origin story, you know, you're talking about next chapter. I think that she might go back to the pink. Honestly, I don't know. I think, you know, it might not even be focused on Mississippi. It might, you know, we might see some more Brandy. We might see some more Mercedes rather. And I think that, you know, Uncle Clifford narrating this whole hood fairy tale drama thing was just super smart and so good. This episode was amazing. It was amazing, man. I just can't wait to see how this all plays out for Keyshawn. And any woman that's out there dealing with anything, baby, you know, listen, it can be done and you can do it. You just gotta be smart, you know, and find your strength. Regain your strength mentally first, right? But I ain't gonna over talk it because I know this video gonna be long. Make sure you like this video, girl. Like the video because it's gonna help me on the YouTube algorithm so the big girls on YouTube don't swallow me up, okay? Also consider subscribing if you like and enjoy this content and commentary. I'd greatly appreciate it. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.